Bagheera information.
North Korea, one of the most closed, mysterious, and heavily controlled countries in the world. From the outside, it looks like a land of missiles, military parades, and strict propaganda. But behind those guarded borders lies an entirely different reality, one that very few outsiders ever witness. And at the center of this hidden world stands one man, Kim Jong-un, a leader whose power stretches far beyond politics, shaping every second of life inside the country. Kim Jong-un rules through fear, propaganda, and absolute control. In North Korea, the leader's words are not suggestions. They are unquestionable laws. His portraits must hang higher than anything else in the room. His name cannot be spoken casually. Citizens must bow to his statues, memorize his speeches, and even the slightest sign of disrespect can lead to disappearance. This is not just a dictatorship. It is a system built over 3 generations, where loyalty is not a choice, but a duty taught from childhood. The country is controlled through a strict classification system called songbun, one of the most powerful tools Kim Jong-un uses to maintain total authority. Songbun determines where a person can live, what job they can have, how far they can study, and even who they can marry. Your fate is decided not by your skills, but by your family's history. If your grandparents showed the slightest resistance to the government decades ago, you might spend your entire life restricted, monitored, and isolated. This invisible ranking system keeps the population divided and controlled long before they even understand what control means. But while the people live under pressure, Kim Jong-un's lifestyle tells a completely different story. State media shows him as a humble, caring leader, but reality is the opposite. He lives in massive secret palaces, owns luxurious private islands, foreign cars, yachts, expensive alcohol collections, and even imports gourmet food from Europe. Meanwhile, millions of his people survive on 1 meal a day. The gap between the leader and the people is so enormous that most North Koreans cannot imagine the world he actually lives in. Visitors rarely see the truth. Tourists are carefully guided along routes designed to show a perfect, polished version of the country. Buildings are repainted before they arrive. Shops are temporarily stocked with products that disappear right after the tourists leave. Ordinary citizens are replaced by government actors who pretend to live normal, happy lives. But the real North Korea, the poor neighborhoods, the empty markets, the villages without electricity, remains hidden behind locked doors. Surveillance is everywhere. No one is alone and no conversation is private. Phones, radios, and televisions are controlled by the state. Internet access is forbidden. Even saying a harmless sentence about the government can turn into a trap, because the person asking your opinion might be a secret informant. In North Korea, the walls have ears, the streets have eyes, and loyalty is tested in ways the outside world cannot imagine. But the most dangerous weapon of the regime isn't fear alone, it's isolation. People are told from childhood that the outside world is dangerous, evil, and full of enemies. They believe they are the only pure and strong nation protected by a heroic leader. When you grow up seeing only one reality, hearing only one truth, and meeting only one kind of thought, the system becomes impossible to question. And that is how Kim Jong-un keeps an entire nation in line, not just with power, but with belief. What we see from the outside, the military parades, nuclear tests, and carefully staged images are only a small fragment of the truth. The real North Korea is a parallel world built on silence, fear, and control. Behind every closed window, there's a story the world will never hear. A family trying to survive, a child studying under candlelight, a person afraid to speak their own thoughts. And in the middle of it all stands Kim Jong-un, a leader who controls not only the land and the people, but even the flow of information itself. A leader who built an entire system where truth is forbidden, hope is dangerous, and escape is almost impossible. The outside world sees the noise of rockets, but inside North Korea, millions of silent voices continue to remain unheard.